everybody, my name is Apen, and today I want to talk about why Puss and Boots The Last Wish is superior to Avatar The Way of Water. Now, you might be thinking, Apen, why are you comparing these movies? Well, my dear stupid idiot viewer, they come around the same time, both have weird cat things. I am convinced that Puss is not an actual cat as their main character, and I've never watched the first movie. That sounds a lot worse than it actually is. But of course I have to mention,
spoilers ahead.
And while you're here, please be sure to masticate on the subscribe button. I know you're hungry, and the subscribe button could be a tasty little snack, all for you. Anyways, let's go with the vegetables before I give you your dessert. Let's start with Avatar. Long ago, the four nations lived together, and who put that there? Okay, so this blue-headed buffin is pounding this mean lady, and they get a bunch of kids. Don't ask me what any of their names are. I don't care. Also, there's this little cretin named Spider, and the mom's kind of a bitch to him. She calls him a rat or something. I don't even remember. All I know is that the kids liked and respected him, and the parents did not because he was human. Even though Jake is an avatar. Years later, the soldier who they killed in the last movie was brought back. Hooray. The kids find out the spider is captured, and then they just leave him there! Assholes. Like, they say it's because technically he's the soldier's kid. But so what? He's a clone. There's a good chance that he wouldn't even care. One more thing. He really shouldn't care. They develop bonds out of nowhere. Anyways, Jake says it's not safe and they decide to leave. And then the soldiers and Spider dick around with these burnt things. Jake's all like, it's me they're after. Our tribe will not be safe. So they make their way to the water tribe. And then these bullies with the most middle school looking haircut I have ever seen. Like, just, come on. Look at it. Anyway, the bullies are only here to make this other kid go hang out with some whales. The whale was exiled. Then the Fire Nation attacked. I mean, the soldiers found out where they were hiding and start to burn down the villages. And this is where the movie gets stupid. They left to ensure that no one in their tribe would get hurt. And then they just stay in the water village, causing more people to get hurt. Apen, they would still have to deal with them killing whales, and I'm getting to that. Meanwhile, Spider's just chilling with some researchers who kill whales for their brain juice that lets them live forever or something, I don't know. Then, to be super evil, they don't take anything else. I'm all for a corporation evil message, but these are fucking whales, and those are fucking colonists. What about the blubber, the bones, the meat? They'd probably be considered, like, a delicacy. Ever heard of ivory? Yeah, they might not be as profitable, but they're still profitable. This is like Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the Frankenweenie fucking levels of contrived. Basically, these whales are like spirit sisters of the Navi. I really don't care. Point is, whale who saved child was exiled because of self-defense a long time ago. Cool. So the little bitch who made friends with the whale goes back to the place in order to warn the whale because he was exiled. Now suddenly they need to save him because they got captured, even though Spider was trapped in there for at least a week and they didn't care. Whatever. They go, the oldest child dies, the mom uses Spider as a sacrifice to get the evil guy to let go, and he does. I'm sorry, are we trying to say that colonizers are sympathetic? Correct me if I'm wrong, but the guy who takes pleasure in murdering things should not care about a kid he's only known for a week. And the movie acknowledges this. Which just ruins it because they have the power of love thing and ugh. Then him and Jake fight underwater, and the soldier guy loses, drowns, is saved by Spider, not because he felt like he had to, because he saved his life earlier and he owed a debt. No, it's because love. Yeah. Okay. And then they reconvene at the end of the movie. The dad sees his son in a tree vision. The end. I made the story sound a lot more interesting and in-depth than it actually was. The main gist of the story is, we're getting hunted. We need to band together to defeat the evil corporation that made us run away in the first place. And it's basic. Not overdone, just basic. And you can make a basic story with good characters, but did you notice that? I didn't remember a single character's name! Except for Jake Sully, because I got a TikTok that said the Jake Sully effect. The characters aren't compelling, the character motivations are dumb, and I still don't remember what anyone's name is except for Spider and one that's called Creety or Kitty, because it's fucking Kitty. Now on to Puss and Boots.
You guys know that Universal absolutely loves to be an absolute piece of shit and will copyright claim any clips. Literally any of them. So enjoy the random sporadic spots of black.
This is a cat who's down to his last life, and after finding this information, the literal embodiment of death comes after him, and he feels fear for the first time. Okay. He ends up running away to this little cat sanctuary where he meets this lovable little shit named Perito. There are so many things I could say about all the characters, but till the end, I can wait. Goldilocks and the three bears end up looking for Puss because they want him to steal a map to the wishing star. He overhears this and goes to steal the map with Perito in tow. I don't actually remember why Perito came along. It's been like 2 weeks since I've seen this movie. He ends up reconvening with Kitty Softpaws, an old lover. Also, I just like to say this. I am not a fan of forced romance because it's dumb and I don't want to see people kissing. Ew. They did it well. Somehow they make this work in a movie about being chased by death. They still have to steal the map and end up making Perito their getaway driver. And then there's this really good scene. When Puss escapes from the villain who has the map, Jack Horner, he ends up giving a lot of Jack Horner's treasures to the citizens. And when he turns back to look at them, there's one that stands out. The movie goes quiet, or rather loud. And it's just death standing there. Eventually they make their way to the Dark Forest, the place where the wishing star resides. They end up finding out that the map changes the structure of the forest based on who's holding it. There's actually really good thematic linking here. Puss's trail is dark and lonely, while Kitty's is leches. It's basically sucking up all of the goodness of the forest. And it's symbolism for how she gives too much of herself. But that's up for the end. Okay, back on track. Perito's path is easy because he really doesn't care about the wish. This is the only part of the movie that's confusing. You can't really tell it's because he doesn't want the wish or because he just doesn't register his trauma as trauma. Whatever. That's really not that important. Also, there's like a surprising amount of on-screen death. The gist is Jack Horner finds them. His entourage gets eaten. He doesn't care. The main crew bonds. They get ambushed. Goldilocks gets the map. I think this movie actually has more like on-screen death than Avatar. Puss has a panic attack when they escape. Perito calms him down, alluding to the scene earlier where he said he wanted to be a service dog, and it's wholesome. Perito was kind of annoying at the beginning, but he really comes into his own as a character at this point. They get the map back from Goldilocks, and then they get separated. There's this great scene where Puss talks to his past lives. He realizes that they were all kind of pieces of shit, and the second he starts to realize the error of his ways, someone comes in to ruin the self-realization. I don't actually, I can't click the mic anymore. This scene has really great animation, but for later. He runs away to find the wish. Kitty chews him out for it, while Perito tries to get Puss at the end of his character arc quicker. And he doesn't know what to do, so in an act of desperation, he... Editor pen! Insert...
Kitty! Death is after me!
Then Jack Horner shows up, and they defeat him with the help of Goldilocks. Her wish was for a real family, and she realizes that she had it all along. Very sweet, very wholesome. Then there's a final confrontation between Death and Puss that's really good and should have had Americana playing in the background because I fucking love Lady Gaga. But I digress. The fight is really well done and ends with Death conceding that Puss is not the cat he once was, giving an ominous note that he will be back eventually before going to fuck off. The only reason he was after Puss was because he didn't value his lives. We have a character arc, baby! Basically spelled out for the watchers. Then Jack Horner comes out for a second time to be killed off with a pretty funny joke at the end. And then everyone else fucks off to do their own thing. Yay, mega happy ending. Did you notice that? I knew almost all the names of all the characters, which is strange considering I watched Avatar in the theater while Puss and Boots at my house with a sketchbook class firmly in my grasp. I should have paid more attention to one or the other. Especially with Avatar's 3-hour run length, and I'm going to be wrong about this, but I want to say Puss in Boots' hour and 42-minute run length. There's no excuse. And sure, some of them were fairy tale characters, but Kitty Softpaws, Jack Horner, Perito, those are 2 extra characters that I've remembered. That is 1 extra character that I've remembered that I've never heard of before, and this movie made me care more in half the time. That's really what it comes down to. The characters in Puss in Boots are well written, shocker. All the characters' actions and motivations make sense. Like, let's take the best and worst examples from each of these movies. Let's start with Avatar. The soldier guy. We're going from worst to best. I should have mentioned that. Meh. I'll fix it in post. He's supposed to be this guy who kills Na'vi because that's what the government demands of him, and he clearly enjoys it. So why is he okay with being turned into an avatar? Okay, that's fine. He has low moral character. Low moral character meaning that he doesn't abide by the rules of most normal people, you know. Like, don't run away from a fight. I don't know. I don't ask me about my moral character, okay? So then, why does he care if his original body's son is going to die? The movie has points where they're apparently bonding, but this is dumb because it's literally them just caring out of nowhere. There's several points in the movie where they're both trying to manipulate each other into liking each other. And is that why they like each other? Because they're 2 sides of the same coin? Whatever. Puss is a bit harder, but I guess I can go with Jack Horner because he's just evil. But that's still a compliment to the movie because all he really needed to be was evil. He was a fun villain that was meant to be a secondary, more in the foreground antagonist for Puss to deal with. Also, Mulaney knew what his character was and all he needed to be, and it's a kids movie after all, so it just needed to be fun. On to the highlights. I don't know, I guess like there was this point where they met the leaders of the water tribe at the edge of the ocean, and the mother was being a little bit of a bitch because like it was a mother and father who were running the tribe, and she was basically like, you're weird, you're gonna bring destruction to our villages, and she was right. She was a bitch, but I kind of love her because she's right. They also reversed sexism with a man being kind and welcoming, so props for that, I guess. Puss, it's, well, Puss. I should hate Puss in theory. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Puss in Theory. He doesn't tell people information that might smoothen the conflicts quicker. So why do I like him? 4 words. Because it makes sense. Puss has arrogance that is justified. Let's take a few examples. I'm not sure this is the proper term, but I'm too lazy to think of another one. The character must do it themselves trope. Okay, let's just go with Korra from Legend of Korra. She's called the worst avatar by both people in the series and in real life. And that's it. Do you kind of see the problem? Korra is living up to the avatar. Let's say Steven Universe, the original Avatar, Monkey Kid. What are some normal people movies? I want to say Rey from Star Wars because of Luke Skywalker. Whatever, not the point. Puss made his legend. He made himself this untouchable cat. He laughs in the face of death. He rides alone. His notion of not asking for help makes sense because he made himself a character who is physically not allowed to ask for help. And I'm going to move on to probably my most contentious point. Animation. I think The Last Wish has better animation. Obviously not from a technical perspective. I mean, duh. But not for what it is. It's literally just an island. It's a huge, not really fantasy island. It looks like the Bahamas with a couple extra roots tacked on, and all of the new crazy plants and stuff just look like jellyfish spray painted purple. Editor pen! Shoving some cooler fantasy world designs right now. I'm sorry, can you please do that? I know you're lazy, but the character and animal designs were nice, though. They did take heavy inspiration from real-life creatures. I wanted to see more eldritch-looking abomination. And then there were the absolute design atrocities that were those middle school fuckboys' haircuts. Puss and Boots is different completely. Certain scenes will change color completely just to show the inner psyche of a character. The frames strategically drop during certain fights, not only to prove the cost of animation, but to show for more ambitious shots. And also, I think we need to get back to the days where the answer to a question could be, because it looks cool. And this just looks cool. Let me ask you something. Can you tell me anything about how the Na'vi look besides they are vaguely cat-like and blue? No. Well, I can describe to you almost every single thing that any Puss in Boots character is wearing. I only remember a few of the Na'vi because they were basically half naked and I laughed about it to my father, who really hated the fact that we were watching a movie together because I cannot shut my ass. I really have nothing to say about either scores. They were actually not impeccable. They were fine. I'm a really big music fan, and if I don't remember anything important about the movie's soundtrack, there wasn't anything to blow me away. Sure, there might be some kind of big, actually, if you look at this, he did this sound with a shoelace and 2 tubes of toothpaste. And I'm like, okay, I don't really care. However, Puss in Boots' sound design was remarkable. Whenever Puss was having a panic attack, the scene would go silent, and all you could hear was his heartbeat and a ringing in his ear. And that was good. Just straight up good. The performance and dialogue were both good in both movies. Goldilocks is now one of 4 British people that I will spare from my genocide. Avatar's acting was actually really good, but it gets several points knocked down by the overuse of the word bro. I laughed the first time, chuckled the second time, had to take a piss the third time, and by the 4th time, I was over it. Meanwhile, I had the opposite effect with the way Puss and Boots was said, but eventually I found it endearing. Editor Penn put in the clip of him going, Puss and Boots. I also liked all the accents done in both movies. Massive props to the actors respectively. But at the end of the day, both of these movies knew what they were. And Puss went farther. Avatar knew that all people wanted to see was cool CGI. Puss was just a kid's movie. But Puss put in complex characters, themes, and blood, and went further than any kid's movie should have to. Avatar played it pretty boring and safe with a story that should have only lasted half the runtime. My final score, without an actual scale, but just taking into consideration Avatar The Way of Water, 6 out of 10, Puss in Boots, 9 out of 10. There's no such thing as a perfect movie. However, if you want my scale of enjoyment, 9 out of 10 for the first half of Avatar and 6 out of 10 for the second half. Honestly, for as much as I harp on the movie, I really like the scenes where the family were just learning how to be part of the water tribe. That was good. As for Puss in Boots, it was a 10 out of 10. Watched it again by myself so I could have the option to skip the boring parts, and I really only skipped the cat lady scene and the doctor scene. But I think we all learned something today. DreamWorks should have half our money, and I should be having the other half. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment down below if you're a fucking freak and wanted to fuck the cat. And while you're there, please be sure to deep throat the subscribe button. What the fuck?